Nikhil, and I'm going to be presenting on bacteriophage. So before we start, you might want to know why I chose this topic. Well, I watched a video on phage therapy and how Lytic bacteriophages could possibly change the world. I got really interested in this topic because I'd never heard of it before, and I wanted to share what I learned with everyone else. So my first question that I'm going to be addressing is, what is a T4 bacteriophage? That might sound like the name for an alien race or a type of bacteria, but in reality, T4 bacteriophages are actually viruses. What is the real difference? In short, a virus is much simpler. In fact, viruses are not really alive. They can't do anything until they infect a host. They just linger around. Once they infect their host, they either start replicating inside the bacteria and burst out, or they attach their genes to the host. Hundreds of thousands of viruses can fit into one bacteria. As I referred before, viruses are extremely small. The smallest virus, the Zika virus, is more than 1,000 times smaller than an E. coli bacteria. The T4 bacteriophage is in fact a virus, and is usually around 50 nanometers in size. T4 bacteriophages are around 750 times smaller than E. coli bacteria. This means that 20,000 T4 bacteriophages could fit in the width of one human hair. Let's talk a bit about bacteriophages' physical appearance. How do they really look? Do they live up to their cool name? Well, yes. They have a large icosahedron-shaped head, where they store their genetic code. This is called the capsid of the bacteriophage. That capsid makes up more than half of their total weight. Below the head is what we call the tail. It has what's called a collar, which attaches the head to the sheath, and which looks like a long spring. That sheath is connected to a platform called the base plate, and from that, 6 tail fibers jut out. In total, it kind of looks like a spider with a long neck and a big head. So the second question I'm going to be addressing is, how do T4 bacteriophages populate? I've been referring all this time to Lytic bacteriophages, but Lytic bacteriophages are not the only main type. There's also the lysogenic bacteriophage. Well, what is the difference? Firstly, let's talk about their similarities. The capsid of a bacteriophage universally houses their genetic information. This gets injected into a bacterium they land on using the base plate and tail fibers. The bacteriophage is not really alive, as I said before, so it just kind of floats around until it touches a bacterium. Then it attaches to this host with its tail fibers. This is where the difference occurs. A lysogenic bacteriophage will inject its genetic code and attach its own genetic code to its host DNA. Then, generation by generation, the bacteriophage's genetic code will become replicated with the bacteria. Lytic bacteriophages, on the other hand, will, after injecting their code into the bacteria, will explode out of the bacteria. This process is called the lytic cycle. Lytic bacteriophages kill their host in the process. Now that you know the difference between lytic and lysogenic bacteriophages, you might ask why we've mainly been focusing on lytic bacteriophages in this fashion project. Well, the reason is because they could potentially replace antibiotics for good. This process is called phage therapy, and it includes injecting lytic bacteriophages into your body. My third question is, how can you use lytic bacteriophage? Why would you do such a thing and inject bacteriophages into your body? Well, think about it this way. Antibiotics stop a vital process in bacteria. This might seem like the solution to all our bacteria-related problems, but there is an issue with this. Bacteria can evolve, and fast. The Clostridium perfringens splits every 10 minutes, which means in a day, 144 entire generations have passed. That means that in the time it takes for one generation to pass for us humans, the bacteria would have had 1,576,800 generations. This means that the chance for mutation is much, much higher, and the bacteria can evolve extremely fast. They can develop resistance to an antibiotic in a matter of days. Antibiotics, on the other hand, cannot evolve. They're just pills, but guess what can? Yes, Lytic bacteriophage. If the bacteriophage evolved to resist the bacteria, the bacteriophage will evolve to resist them back. But why only Lytic bacteriophage? Well, the simple reason is that bacteria evolve so fast, as I said before. Lysogenic bacteriophages cannot keep up with them. But Lytic bacteriophages are much faster, as hundreds of bacteriophages can explode, and in a matter of minutes, those bacteriophages can do the same. This is why Lytic bacteriophages are the more useful ones for killing bacteria. This type of therapy might sound like a modern revolution in science, but phage therapy was actually used in the 1930s. German soldiers often carried vials of bacteriophages in their bags in case of a bacterial infection. Back then, not much was even studied about phages, and scientists were not even sure if they were microbes or enzymes. They had no idea what bacteriophages did to kill bacteria, but they just knew what effects they had in the short term. The wide use of antibiotics made phage therapy even less common. There were many problems with bacteriophages. They were hard and very costly to control, hard to produce, and overall pain to use. This led to the eventual decrease of phage therapy, and it soon died out. It's funny how in the past, antibiotics were used as a solution for the problems bacteriophage caused. But now, bacteriophage is doing the same to antibiotics. With our new technology and understanding, we're ready to take another stab at it. Nowadays, we have new knowledge about the different types of bacteriophage and how they work by studying them more closely. We now know that bacteriophages are in fact viruses, and there are two main types, the lytic and lysogenic. Well, let's talk about the possible benefits of phage therapy. Say somebody has a bacterial infection. Their first move would be to take an antibiotic, but as we discussed before, bacteria are becoming more and more resistant to antibiotics. Also, the antibiotics will not only kill the bad bacteria, but also the good bacteria in their body. If the bacteria have had too much exposure to the antibiotic, it won't work. Let's say they instead try phage therapy. There'll be many benefits and also drawbacks. Different bacteriophages are specialized to different kinds of bacteria. One species of Lytic bacteriophage will only kill one type of bacteria, or maybe a few at maximum. This will be a benefit, since we could just provide different types of bacteriophage for different infections, and we won't have to worry about the good bacteria being killed. Also, unlike antibiotics, only one dose of phages will be needed. Since phages multiply when killing bacteria, only one dose of phages will be enough to kill off all the bacteria. Also, phages are also not that hard to find nowadays, and they also don't harm the human body in any way. But phage therapy also has its drawbacks. Currently, phages are hard to prepare for use in people and animals, and it's also not known what exact types of bacteriophages there are and what they specialize in killing and what dosages should be given. It's also not known how long it'll take for phage therapy to even work. Also, not all phages are as deadly as others against bacteria, and there might not even be enough types of phages to treat all the diseases. In conclusion, it's hard to say if phage therapy would be a good addition to our society. It comes with its fair share of benefits and drawbacks. One thing is certain, though, and that's the fact that scientists are never going to stop researching phages. Maybe at one point, phage therapy will become completely safe and viable and will be in widespread use. Overall, if phage therapy is researched more and we get to know everything we can about bacteriophages, this will be a step in the right direction towards a more sustainable future. Here are my sources. Sources continue. And thank you for listening. Any questions?
Choose them wisely, Richard.
Peter. So how are these bacteriophages, how are they collected? So bacteriophages, lytic bacteriophages, when they inject their genetic code into the bacteria, they basically instruct the bacteria just to start manufacturing them inside their body, and that's how like hundreds of bacteriophages burst out of the bacteria. So that's how they're created, basically. Avi. I think it won't take too long. It's not gonna be like something like like 2100 it'll happen. But I think it's like currently it's not at the level where it can be like in widespread use. So maybe I don't know an exact time because I don't have enough like data to back whatever like 2030 or whatever. So maybe it's not too long, but like not too short either. So yeah.
Okay, last question.
Sinan. Yeah, so like back when it was used in the 1930s, like we didn't know what types of phages there were, so it was more harmful. But nowadays, it's actually not that harmful even now. So I think as like in a few years, it's itself, maybe, like, it would be viable to use.
So like using the wrong kind of phage can be bad for you?
Yeah, I mean, using the wrong kind of phage could, if you don't know exactly what phages kill what bacteria, you could accidentally like harm good bacteria in our body. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Okay, friends, that concludes hour 1 of